What's up everybody, Jameson Redding here with the Road Trip Angler. And for the last couple of days, I've been hanging out at Camp Manatee right here on the Santa Fe River in Florida, testing out the Approach 120 from NRS and the Flycraft Stealth 2.0. In this video, I want to sit these guys side by side and do a comparison. Before we jump into the differences on the water, I want to talk a little bit about the difference in the specs of each boat. Now they're very similar boats. They're both designed for two people. They're both designed to handle some whitewater, and they're really designed to fly fish from, and they have a lot of similarities when it comes to the specs. But the NRS boat is 120 pounds. The Flycraft boat here is 103 pounds. And most of that's due to the frame on the NRS boat. Also, the NRS boat is 12 feet long. The Flycraft boat is 11 feet 8 inches long. But the Flycraft boat is a little bit wider at 51 inches, whereas the NRS boat is 49 inches. The NRS boat has a little bit bigger diameter tubes, so the outer part of the inflatable raft here they're larger, so it actually gives it a little bit higher capacity. So this one has about 16.5-inch tubes, whereas this one's 15-inch tubes. You can put 675 pounds of weight in the NRS Approach and 600 to 650. I found a couple of different places on the internet that said 600 and one that said 650, but the wind kind of goes to the Approach here with a little bit higher capacity. As we take a look at the floor of these boats, they both have a drop stitch floor that can be inflated to around that 8 PSI, which is going to be very rigid and feel very stiff under your feet, so you don't have a lot of flex. But the NRS floor is 6 inches thick, whereas the Flycraft is 5 inches. Also on the floor of the NRS boat, you have this EVA pad that I think also adds to the durability of the boat. So if you're dropping things in the floor, but as well as the durability, it's gonna feel a little more grippy under your feet. There's a few different options to buy both of these boats. The Flycraft comes in 3 basic packages. You have the standard package, the fish package, which is what we tested, and the pro package. And then there's a whole bunch of other accessories that you can purchase to kind of build this out to suit your needs. The NRS Approach is going to come in 2 packages, and one of those is the base or standard package, and the other is called the Rowers package. Now, as we look at the difference in price, it seems like the Flycraft is much more inexpensive than the NRS Approach 120. However, there's some things that come on the NRS Approach 120 that you would have to purchase to add to this boat to really get an apples to apples comparison. For example, the NRS Approach comes with those storage boxes, comes with 2 fly rod holders, 1 on each side, and also has that thigh hook on the front and the motor mount standard on the back. Now, in none of the packages that I could find on the Flycraft do you get the motor mount on the back, so that's a $100 upcharge. Also, those rod holders, you have to purchase those separately, and there's a couple of different options there, but they're gonna range from $200 to $225 in order to get actual rod holders mounted to this boat. You also don't have any kind of storage boxes. You can get in the fish package and the pro package. You do get that kind of luggage rack that goes on the back, but you don't have any internal storage or dry storage in the boat. And in addition to having that storage under the seat, I like that you have the integrated fly rod storage on both sides of the NRS Approach. And I haven't had a chance to test out the accessory that you can buy to add those fly rod holders to the Flycraft Stealth 2.0. Overall, in general, I feel like the NRS Approach is just a little heavier duty. If you will, this could be the residential grade, the Flycraft, and the NRS is going to be more like your industrial grade. However, that being said, I don't think the Flycraft Stealth 2.0 is not durable in any way or not up to par or designed, good in any way. I just think that overall the NRS Approach is a little beefier. It seems to be, built a little bit tougher, a little stronger, which is probably why it comes in a little heavier. The frame itself is a little heavier and also has some tracks, so you can really adjust things and slide those things around. Whereas the Flycraft is pretty much fixed. You do have a little bit of adjustment in those seats, forward and aft, but that's really about it when it comes to adjusting the setup on these two boats. Both of them are plenty stable. However, I'm gonna say that The NRS approach is slightly more stable, and I think that is due to the fact that you have a little bit more volume in those tubes. They're a little bigger, and it just seems like it's a little more rock solid when you step into it. When it comes to the speed, they're pretty much equal. It was really hard to tell a difference in that as far as which one was faster. The only way I would really be able to do that accurately is test them out on flat, calm water with the motors on the back of each of them and really just get everything exactly the same. Whereas here we had moving water, we were going down or upstream, and it's gonna be really hard to tell a difference in the actual speed. Plus, most of the time, these boats are gonna be floating down a river, so speed is just not something that is important when it comes to that type of fishing. It's kind of the same when we're talking about maneuverability. The specs are just so close on these boats. They are both gonna spin pretty much in place if you want them to, and there's really no difference when it comes to maneuverability. Now, probably the most important thing that you could talk about when it comes to these two boats is fishability, because let's face it, that's what you're getting them for, is to go fishing. And they're similar. However, without having all of those accessories, the fly rod storage, the bar up front as that brace, and any kind of storage options, I really can't say how these would compare if this boat was fully decked out, fully rigged out. But both of them are very fishy, and they're both very easy to fish from. And I think that having that ability to quickly mount some rod holders in different places and some different gear is going to be a big win for this boat when it comes to fishability. One advantage I would say that comes on the Flycraft Stealth 2.0 is the swivel chairs. Now, you get the swivel even in the base package, but in the fish package, we also have that quick release plate. And I think when you're going down a river or you're fishing anywhere really, being able to move that chair a little bit and aim where you're wanting to cast without the whole boat having to be turned is an advantage. These boats are both designed to handle some whitewater, and I would say that the NRS approach is going to handle probably even bigger whitewater just because of its rigidity with the frame and its design, and we'll get into a little bit more about the durability in just a second. But having that thigh brace up front is just going to give you a better sense of stability, but also it's going to help you as an angler, because standing up to fish is a lot easier to make better accurate casts, to see fish, see what's going on in the water. And I think I would have to add some type of brace to this Flycraft in order to get it to be even close to having an actual thigh hook. The Flycraft has a little bit more rocker, meaning that the ends of the boat turn up a little bit more than the NRS boat does. Now, this could be said that having that extra rocker, the boat might handle waves a little better. That's yet to be tested because I haven't been in whitewater situations in either of these boats yet. But that slanted floor up front forces you to stand with your feet slightly elevated in the front. And I felt like when we were stripping line into the boat, it tended to kind of roll down that floor and go under my foot. And a lot of times when I was shooting that line, I would be standing on top of the line. Again, this is something that could be managed, and I could learn to strip in a different area on the boat, and I think that that could be mitigated. But the NRS approach has a little bit flatter floor and flatter deck, which is both more comfortable under your feet, and I felt like my fly line wasn't catching my feet as bad. As we talk about value with both of these, I think when you first look at it, you might think that you're getting a lot more value in the Flycraft Stealth 2.0, but once you start to build this boat out to get it to have all the features that the NRS approach has, you're really going to be getting pretty close to the same price. A few $100s is really the only difference there. So I think that when it comes to value in both of these boats, you're really getting what you pay for. They're both quality boats. I think that they're priced right where they should be based on the market. Now, obviously, we would all love things to be cheaper, who wouldn't? But I think that they're priced right where they should be just based on what's out there and the build quality of both of these boats. Oh God. One thing I didn't really cover in the review of either of these boats was the rowability. Now, when I'm talking about that, I did kind of mention the maneuverability and the speed of both of these boats, but when you get these boats in the packages that come with the oars, they're both pretty nice oars. I think the Flycraft's oars are very lightweight. They're a little bit smaller diameter. The blade surface area is a little bit smaller, but the boat's lighter, so I feel like you don't need as much to move it around. Whereas the oars that come with the NRS raft seem to be a little beefier. They are a bigger diameter. The blade surface area is a little bit more as well. I don't know yet if I'm a fan of these oar rights that come with the rowers package. They lock the oars in place and you don't really have to think about indexing or making sure that your oar is gonna hit the water properly to get that maximum power out of your stroke. So it was a little different. I'm used to being able to kind of rotate the oars as I move them around, and this kind of does lock that into place. So it's just something that I'm gonna need to get used to. And I did find myself getting used to it throughout the day. It did help because you didn't have to think about it at all. It kept the oar, you know, right where it needed to be to get that full power out of your stroke, whether it's forward or reverse stroke. The other thing from that rowability standpoint, on the NRS raft, you do have that foot brace for the rower to be able to get more power out of their stroke, whereas you don't have that on the Flycraft. So you would have to kind of come up with something to add there if you wanted to have something to put your foot up against. And coming from paddling kayaks for years, I know that having your feet on something can really help you utilize your core and get more power out of your stroke when you need it. So my final thoughts on both of these boats are that I like them both. I think they're both great boats. I think they both are quality, and I think it's really going to be a versatile platform for me. And I think both of them are great options. I do like the NRS approach slightly better simply because of a couple of things. I like the track system a lot, but I also love that you can adjust everything around. I also really like the storage. I like that it comes with that thigh hook up front that also has those cup holders. I do like, however, that you get the swivel seats on the Flycraft, and I wish that the NRS boat had those swivel seat options, and I do like the quick release plates that come in that fish package. If you'd like to check out the full review I did of each boat, be sure to check that out on our channel. And if you enjoyed this content, please subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.